Cecile might need a little.
I even showered. I was like, I'm gonna shower. I'm gonna wake right up. Who am I kidding? I was sleeping last meeting too. I think it's just. Let's just be honest.
Well, that was a vulnerable
It
moment.
takes a year after vacation to go back into the swing.
A year.
A year? I know. Right.
1 minute, 1 minute.
And just so you guys know, the football team killed it during the trash line. Trash pickup and moving the bleachers.
Some piece of trash on the ground.
No.
Pardon me?
That's right, that'd be great.
Oh, that's not.
It is on mine.
It is.
Yeah,
Oh,
it's
that's
on
not
mine.
wrong.
Right here.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Wednesday, July 9th, 2025 regular meeting of the Granville School District. I'm calling this meeting to order. Would you please rise and join me for the Pledge of Allegiance?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good morning again. Can we take the roll, please?
Mr. Wolf,
Here.
Ms. Shaw,
Here.
Ms. Deeds,
Here.
Mr. Crum.
Here.
Mr. Miller is absent.
Is there a motion to approve the agenda?
So moved.
Second?
Take the roll, please.
Ms. Deeds,
Aye.
Mr. Crum,
Aye.
Ms. Shaw,
Aye.
Mr. Wolf.
Aye.
Due to the likelihood of not having anybody come at 7:30 in the morning for accommodation, we do not have any accommodations today, but we do have a report from our treasurer.
International Labor Day.
Yes, monthly financial report.
Okay, so this is our June financial report, which is the last report for the fiscal year. So we have our normal monthly update and then a comparison to the forecast from May. So jumping into the cash balance, if you look at the graph, the blue bar is now less than the gray bar. That's our cash balance compared to last year. And that, again, we anticipated and was intentional with our capital projects transfer. Looking at revenue for the month of June, state revenue is up over prior year for June, and that was the reimbursement of the science and reading stipends that we paid. So we anticipated that as well. Year to date, right in alignment with where we expected to be and where we've been all year. The local taxes are up over prior year. That's an increase in the income tax as well as property tax. And then all other revenue is down, and that's just due to not having any return of advances this year related to the athletic complex project, which we wrapped up last year. On the expenditure side for the month of June, your eye will probably be drawn to the yellow bar, which is all of their expenses, and that includes, that's the capital projects transfer. So again, we anticipated that. And then just our normal increases with salary and benefits over prior year. Same story then on the fiscal year to date expenditures. And then instead of, after adjusting for the transfers, instead of expenditures being more than what the report is showing, they're actually less. So after adjusting for that transfer, expenditures are up a little over $2 million over prior year. And we'll see this in a minute on the next couple of slides, but that is in alignment with the forecast, what we expected, especially given changes that we had in staffing, the loss of Title I funding, inflation, etc. Okay, so then this is the comparison to the forecast, and the column that says cash flow, that represents at this point our actual fiscal year revenue on this slide and then expenditures on the next slide. And then the forecast is obviously the forecast, and that's as we had filed in May. So the variance shows the difference between the two. So jumping down to the bottom line, actual revenue ended up being about almost 350,000 over what we had anticipated. So that will add to our cash balance. And then on the expenditure side, expenditures were up compared to the forecast about 200,000. So combining those to the impact to the cash balance is an increase of 145,000, which is positive to have an increase to the cash balance, but doesn't put us in a position where if there is legislation that is passed related to a cash balance threshold, that we would have an issue. So all of that is positive. Moving on then to the capital projects fund. This looks a little bit different than what we've seen in the past, so I'm playing with how to report this, but wanted to show the projects that we have as we've looked at in the past, but then also show every month the balance that's remaining from the large transfer that we did last month. So the way I have it shown, we have a small balance, $1,900, from a previous project, where basically if we paid within 15 days, we got a discount on the invoice. So we have those funds remaining. We'll use those towards the next project that we have. Then we have the air handler 1 and 5 and a burner replacement for boiler at the high school. Both of those projects should be completed this summer. And then the remainder of the balance is going to sit in the far right column under future projects. So as we identify those projects and likely have contracts that come to the board for approval, we'll move those monies over and track them by project as we've done in the past.
Brittany, excuse me.
Yeah.
Can you just go over why we moved so much into the capital projects fund?
Yeah.
Just go over that one more time.
Yeah, so over the last several years, we have not had enough money in our permanent improvement fund to support the capital needs of the district. That permanent improvement fund is funded by a portion of Inside Village, so it does increase over time, but our capital needs have increased significantly with inflation. Basically, the cost to do things is significantly more than it would have been several years ago. We've had to deal with deferred maintenance, etc. So we have been supplementing with general fund transfers for the last 2 years. The reason why we transferred so much this year is to have that money set aside so that it's specifically designated for this purpose. So it supports that capital projects, or the capital budget, rather. But then we also wrapped up our facility master planning process. And in that process, we identified improvements that would be needed to our existing buildings, aside from a new potential building as well. So I think this further supports that need. It could also be used for land purchase if we need it in the future as well. And then there was also the additional component of the legislation that was potentially going to limit our ability to maintain a cash balance in the general operating fund. So essentially what this did was just move forward the transfers that we would have had in future years into the current year, so that it's set aside and available for the purpose that we have already identified. So it's really just a timing issue.
Thank you.
Yep. Next, we just have our cash reconciliation, no comments on that. And the last slide I have is just I said final, but might not actually be final now. Update on the state budget bill. So I should have put this the last bullet first. So all of the property tax changes and the cash balance limits that we talked about previously were vetoed by the governor. So those did not go through. So what is left essentially continues, I'll say, some form of the Fair School Funding Plan. It's not exactly the formula that it was intended to be with actual input-based calculations, but the structure is still there, and importantly for us, it maintains the guarantee. So we'll see the same amount of state funding that we've seen the last several years, as well as what's included in the forecast. On top of that, it includes a performance supplement. Unfortunately, it is half of what the Senate had in their version, so it's about $160,000 each year of the biennium, and it does update based on your most recent report card. So obviously we would anticipate still receiving it based on the latest report card. It also includes an enrollment growth supplement, but it's based on historical enrollment, so that's not really going to help us when we talk about future development down the road until we get to that point. Who knows whether that would still be included in the formula at that point. So then the final piece that we just, I think, learned this morning is that the House is convening on July 21st to potentially override some of the vetoed items. So our understanding is that it's going to be more related to the property tax items and the Budget Commission as opposed to the cash balance and some of the other items. So hopefully the impact to Granville would be minimal, but a lot of districts that are on the 20 mil floor could be significantly impacted if those vetoed items get over. So stay tuned next month for another update on the state budget. That just keeps going. Any other questions or comments? All right, thank you.
Anything else, Mr. Brown?
No.
Okay, we're at that portion of the meeting for public comments. If anyone would like to comment, please enter or come up to the podium, state your name and address, please.
Am I on timer?
Sure.
I shouldn't have asked that question. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
My name is Jim Prentice. I live at 211 Woodwood Drive, cross-country history. 50 years ago this October, the Granville Boys cross-country team established a record in the district meet of 20 points, finishing 2nd through 6th with an average time of 10 minutes, 10 seconds, and a spread of 6 seconds. It's a 2-mile era, or in 5K era. So they range from 10:07 to 10:13. This record held for 35 years until 2010, when a new record of 19 points was established, with Logan Pitcher winning the race and then finishing 3rd, 4th, 5th, and 6th, thus having 19 points. They had an average time of 17:02, the spread was 10 seconds, from 16:55 to 17:05. Logan was a sophomore at the time. In 2011, they scored 21 points, so they did break the record. But the individual titleist was another Granville boy, Ryan Black, as a freshman, won the district title. I'm going to jump ahead to 2013 because 2012 is more of the climax. 2013, senior Tyler Otterstedt, who's a member of the Granville High School Athletic Hall of Fame, won the individual title. Back to 2012. Bear in mind that the record's 19, it's now been dropped to 16 in 2012 by virtue of Granville scoring 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, and then 6th. Average time 17:06, spread 20 seconds from 16:58 to 17:18. The individual titleist that year was Kevin Huddle, a senior. The unique thing about the 2012 team is that the first 4 placers were all individual titleists, either current, past, or future. with Kevin Huddle coming in first, Tyler Audestat coming in second, Ryan Black coming in third, Logan Pitcher coming in fourth, and Gabe Stotts coming in sixth. So it was a very unique situation. The 2012 team was just packed with talent. In the history of Granville High School cross-country boys, there have been only 8 individual titles. 4 of them ran in one race and were undefeated by any other team member, any other member of another team. Try to race through this because of the time. So cut me off when it's time. The other 4 individual titleists were Jim Alexander, 1968, Athletic Hall of Fame. Eric Koenig, 1991, Hall of Fame. Scott Marcy, 1995, and Evan Pelichowski, 1997. So these 4, 2 seniors when they ran, and 1 sophomore and 1 freshman, finish out the list of 8 individual titles. Is that it? Oh, you gonna let me go? All right.
You got 1 minute, Jim.
Okay. There were 10, over the course of Granville cross-country history in the district meet, there have been 10 runner-ups. And Tyler Audestat was also a runner-up. So he's an individual titleist and also a runner-up during the history of the district meet. Okay.
Thanks, Jim.
Thank you, Jim.
Jim, and I appreciate, I know I don't look like it, but I ran cross-country. I appreciate the difference between the 2-mile and the 5K, because I ran in the 2-mile area, so I appreciate you noting that.
Can I respond?
Yeah.
So I ran 2 miles for 3 years. And then my senior year, they upped it to 2.5. And I felt that extra half mile. So it wasn't until the final meet that I actually felt comfortable running that other half mile. It was a struggle, just trying. And I understand why they did what they did. They did 2 miles up until 1976. 77 to 81 they did 2.5. And then 82 onward they did the 5K. That way, no one had to jump from 2 miles to 5K.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jim.
Okay, we have no board discussion items. Expediting the meeting for people who need to get to work. All right, so action item 6.01, board policy adoption. You'll see the list on the agenda of the items that were first read last month. Most of them are related to driver's ed. So moved.
Second.
Take the roll, please.
Mr. Crum?
Aye.
Ms. Deeds?
Aye.
Ms. Shaw?
Aye.
Mr. Wolf?
Aye.
Next item, 6.02, is the approval of the ELL handbook for the 25-26 school year.
So moved. Second.
Take the roll, please.
Ms. Deeds?
Aye.
Ms. Shaw?
Aye.
Mr. Crum?
Aye.
Mr. Wolf?
Aye.
For the next items, I'm just going to say up front that some of these handbooks will come back in August as well, because there was some policy change in the budget and we're going to have to make some additional tweaks, but I wanted to get the initial approval done. So approval of the student handbook for the 2025-2026 school year.
So moved. Second.
Take the roll, please.
Ms. Deeds?
Aye.
Ms. Shaw?
Aye.
Mr. Crum?
Aye.
Mr. Wolf?
Aye.
Next item is 6.04, approval of the athletic handbook for 25-26. So moved.
Second.
Take the roll.
Mr. Crum?
Aye.
Ms. Shaw?
Aye.
Ms. Deeds?
Aye.
Mr. Wolf?
Aye.
Next item, thank you, 6.05 is the approval of the athletic coaches handbook for 25-26 school year. So moved.
Second.
Take the roll, please.
Mr. Crum?
Aye.
Ms. Shaw?
Aye.
Ms. Deeds?
Aye.
Mr. Wolf?
Aye.
Item 6.06 is the approval of the, did I skip one? Okay, good, all right. 6.06, approval of the emergency closure plan for 25-26 school year.
Second?
And that has been signed off by the association president.
Take the roll, please.
Ms. Deeds?
Aye.
Mr. Crum?
Aye.
Ms. Shaw?
Aye.
Mr. Wolf?
Aye.
6.07 is the approval of the substitute employee handbook for the 25-26 school year.
So moved. Second.
Take the roll, please.
Ms. Shaw?
Aye.
Ms. Deeds?
Aye.
Mr. Crum?
Aye.
Mr. Wolf?
Aye.
6.08 is the approval of the federal grants one plan,
So moved.
Second?
although we have no idea when
There's
we'll
still
get
not
any
a
money or if we will get any money, but
We're gonna have to do it anyway.
we're gonna
Still have to
approve the plan.
Yeah.
That's, yeah.
take the roll, please.
Ms. Deeds?
Aye.
Mr. Crum?
Aye.
Ms. Shaw?
Aye.
Mr. Wolf?
Aye.
6.09 is the approval of the demographic agreement with Wolford.
So moved.
Second?
So if you recall, this is, now we're going to go every other year for enrollment studies, so this is that contract.
Take the roll, please.
Ms. Deeds?
Aye.
Mr. Crum?
Aye.
Ms. Shaw?
Aye.
Mr. Wolf?
Aye.
6.10 is the approval of the contract with the Ohio School Plan, which is our liability carrier.
So moved. Second.
Take the roll, please.
Ms. Shaw?
Aye.
Ms. Deeds?
Aye.
Mr. Crum?
Aye.
Mr. Wolf?
Aye.
6.11 is the resolution to declare transportation impractical.
So moved.
Second?
Take the roll, please.
Ms. Deeds?
Aye.
Mr. Crum?
Aye.
Ms. Shaw?
Aye.
Mr. Wolf?
Aye.
6.12 is an addendum to all administrative contracts.
So moved. Second.
Okay, so this item is related to the pickup provision that was in the budget that got vetoed. The language is if in the event that goes away in the future, that administrators' contracts will be held whole through salary advancement.
Take the roll, please.
Ms. Deeds?
Aye.
Ms. Shaw?
Aye.
Mr. Crum?
Aye.
Mr. Wolf?
Aye.
Okay, next is the approval of the consent agenda 7.01 through 7.15.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, a couple of things I'd like to highlight or lowlight. Highlight, we have Ryan Walker, who is in the audience here. He is our new intervention specialist coming to us from Lincoln Valley. He is also the proud husband of Jackie Walker, who is a middle school mathematics teacher. So we're happy to have Ryan here. On the sad side, Glenn is back there. And Glenn has served our community for the past 14 and a half years and provided all the technology support, taken us through some really rough times related to COVID. When Glenn started, the number of computers in the district was under 500. Now he manages, his department manages over 3,000 devices. So it's been a pleasure to work with him, to watch his growth from a systems admin to the director of technology. He is going to be tremendously missed as a friend and as a colleague. So the friendship will continue, I guess. But thank you, Glenn, for everything that you've done for our
Thank you.
community. I would also call your attention to the Granville Athletic Boosters donation in the amount of $16,464.20 for the scoreboard project. We also have a couple of other resignations, Emily Hartman, Christine Miller, Joshua Nowicki. All of them have other positions in other environments, either in Franklin County and or in administration. So we wish them the best of luck. Did I miss anything? Oh, yes, yes. And then I do have to call out the fact that Mary Lou Wagner has retired. Mary Lou Wagner has worked in Granville schools for 50 years.
Wow.
Since 1976, yeah. Pretty close,
Pretty close.
pretty close. So that's impressive. And she, on the way out of the office, after she delivered her letter, she said, "I'll sub for you." So we appreciate her longevity and tremendous commitment to this community and our students. And I think that's all I have to say.
Take the roll, please.
Mr. Cron,
Aye.
Ms. Deeds,
Aye.
Ms. Shaw,
Aye.
Mr. Wolf.
Aye.
All right, item 8.01 is a resolution to approve return of fund advances.
So moved. Second.
This is the opposite of what we approved at the June meeting, to return the advances to the general fund related to federal grants.
Take the roll, please.
Ms. Deeds,
Aye.
Ms. Shaw, Mr. Cron,
Aye.
Mr. Wolf.
Aye.
Item 8.02, approval of the fund transfer from the food service fund to unclaimed funds.
So moved.
Second.
This is an annual item. Going forward, this is related to students who have left the district, who have balances left in their lunch accounts. The funds sit in unclaimed funds for 5 years, so if somebody happened to miss requesting a refund or something like that, the funds are still available for that purpose. They also have the option to transfer their balance to another student, and all that is communicated to families to make that decision.
Can this go towards the Cleveland Browns Stadium?
No.
Unclaimed funds, okay.
Good question.
Crew Stadium or Huntington Park or something. Take the roll, please.
Ms. Shaw,
Aye.
Mr. Cron,
Aye.
Ms. Deeds,
Aye.
Mr. Wolf.
Aye.
Item 8.03, approval of the fund transfer from the general fund to the food service fund to cover bad debt balances.
So moved. Second.
So you might be wondering why this can't, the previous item can't just cover this, but it's just not how it works.
Do you see this decreasing every year?
Yeah, so this was significantly more last year as our first year getting things cleaned up. And then, yes, we do have I think a good process worked out with Dave and ABI and the food service staff to communicate more regularly and in hopefully different formats with parents so that, yes, hopefully we can avoid this going forward. Yeah, good question.
Take the roll, please.
Ms. Deeds,
Aye.
Ms. Shaw, Mr. Crum,
Aye.
Mr. Wolf.
Aye.
Item 8.04, approval of the then and now resolution.
So moved.
Second.
We have 2 this month. One is for baseball field work and one is for steer tires.
What are your tires?
That's,
Just a rudder and tires for buses.
it's a type of tire.
Well-
According to the description. The vendor is Ziegler.
They're round.
Presumably
Take
they're round
the
on
roll,
buses.
please.
And help for steering, I don't know. Mr. Crum,
Aye.
Ms. Deeds,
Aye.
Ms. Shaw,
Aye.
Mr. Wolf.
Aye.
Motion to adjourn.
Before we vote, motion, I'd say we make a motion to move all meetings to 7:30 in the morning. Just kidding, just kidding.
This is like a C-Tech board.
I know, right? So I think we have a motion and a second.
Mr. Crum,
Aye.
Ms. Deeds,
Aye.
Ms. Shaw, Mr. Wolf.
Aye. Meeting is adjourned. Thank you, everyone.
They're not